Hello and welcome. My name's Tim Ryan and I'm doing this for Application of Effective Communication. I'm going to talk today about pollution in the Puget Sound. It's a huge and ongoing problem. If we don't do something about it, we will poison the sound. The pollution has causes range from industrial waste in the past to pesticides and pollutants of the present. I'm going to be talking about three main points today. The first of which being pollution sources, where the pollution comes from, what that pollution looks like. The second thing I'm going to talk about is the results of that pollution. What does it do? What is it doing? How is it evidenced? And the third thing I'll talk about today is going to be what we can do about it. The Puget Sound in Washington State covers more than 1.6 million acres and boasts 2,500 miles of beautiful coastline. This from the Puget Sound Partnership 2015. There are 211 species of fish, 100 seabird species, and 13 different types of marine animals in the Sound alone. If you ask anybody about their trip to Seattle, they'll talk about the Puget Sound, how beautiful it is, how breathtaking the waters are, how pristine they look. As you can see, the Puget Sound it's a big fixture around here. Visitors flock to the area each year to see the harbor seals and to watch the migration of the orca whales. Life is flourishing in its abundance here, but things below the waterline are not as pristine as they seem. 549 of our 10,000 streams, lakes, and rivers that feed into the Sound are contaminated and have poor water quality. This from the People for Puget Sound, 2014. Harbor seals in the area have 7 times the amount of PCBs and pollutants in them as seals just outside of the Puget Sound. We are killing the Sound. Now let's talk about these pollution sources. Where is this coming from? As you can see in this picture, the Puget Sound is fed by multiple water sources all around the Puget Sound. Rivers, lakes, and streams, 10,000 of them that feed the Sound. Pollution starts quite a ways away. This from Cutter in 2006. Our streets are covered with oil and chemicals from cars, trucks, water from car washes, people dumping paint and oil into the drains, industrial waste and byproducts from past years and from current years. Each of these find their way to the Sound each day, thanks to runoff. It rains a lot in Washington. This is a very common sight. The sewer actually backflushing into the streets because of so much water. The rainwater it runs into the streams, lakes, and rivers that feed into the Puget Sound. But first, before they do that, as that rainwater is traveling, it's going across our driveways, it's going across our parking lots, it's going across the dump, it's picking up contaminants, it's washing the oil off, it's washing down the suds that we use to wash our vehicles. That goes into the drains go straight into the river. Here in Olympia, most of the drains are marked, this drain goes straight to the Sound. So anything that goes down that drain goes straight into the Puget Sound. There are millions of pounds of waste, according to the Washington State Department of Ecology, People for Puget Sound 2014, that are flowing into the Sound each day. Millions of pounds. Another large portion of pollution comes from the lower Duwamish waterway. This is from the Environmental Protection Agency in 2015. The waterway is connected directly to the Sound. Boeing, the manufacturer of large corporate and commercial jetliners, has been in the area for a long time. Here you can see one of their facilities directly from their website, bordering right on the Duwamish waterway. They've been operating here for years. Boeing has done arguably a very decent job of trying to be a good steward of the land and keeping pollution to a minimum, but years and years of their use of the land have led to very high levels of pollutants and PCBs in the ground. That ground is drained by rainwater. PCBs are chemicals, incidentally, that were used back in the 70s to make flame retardant clothing. They were banned in 1977, just from Cutter 2006, but we're still seeing an increase in the Sound food supply due to them being in the ground. let's talk about the results. What happens with that pollution? We've seen where it comes from. What happens when it gets to the sound? So in addition to that PCB problem, we've also got pesticides, fertilizer, things we're putting on our lawns, things we're putting on our farms and our crops. Those wash into the rivers and end up in the sound. They poison the sound's vegetation. They drain into the sound. They sink into the mud. They get into the plants. The microorganisms eat the plants. Plankton eat the phytoplankton. Small fish eat the plankton. Bigger fish eat the small fish. Those fish in turn are eaten salmon by orca whales. And those pollutants are carried all the way up the food chain. So, this cycle repeats year after year. And here's a picture of a salmon. Some good orca food right there. In 2006, 3 of the 90 orca whales in the region disappeared and were soon to have died from Qatar 2006. 2 of them were malnourished and sickly when they were last seen. The salmon in the area are diminishing, and so the whales are starving. Pollution is the main cause of the lack of food. We need to get a handle on this if we want to preserve the beauty that we have now. So, what can we do? What can be done? Well, the solution starts at home. We can reduce the amount we clean our vehicles, biggie. When we do, we can take them to car washes where the water is recycled. Again, here's what happens. We put all these chemicals on our car, it washes down the driveway, into the sewers, directly into the sound. We're filling it with soap and grime and oil every day just by washing our cars. Another thing we can do, if we can't, okay, taking it to a car wash. If we take it to a car wash, a lot of these car washes will recycle the water, and when they're done with it, they will dispose of it properly. Another thing we can do just at home, if we want to continue to wash our own vehicle, is to wash it in the grass as opposed to the driveway. So instead of all that stuff running down directly into the drains at the end of our driveway, we wash it into the grass, and the ground will filter that. The ground will keep a bunch of the toxins and pollutants above, and the water will sink down through the grass, through the dirt, through the charcoal, and through everything that's in our soil, and go back to our water table in a much safer and easier way than just draining directly into the sound. So we can reduce the amount of pesticides and fertilizers that we use, go organic, find naturopathic ways to take care of that. Pesticides and fertilizers that are using nature and not full of chemicals and bad things for us. Things that are healthy for the environment, things that are green, sustainable, reusable. We can pick up all the garbage we see. Pick up garbage as you see it in the drain. Reduce, reuse, recycle. Reduce water consumption, take shorter showers, replace our toilets with low gallon per minute, flushing toilets, ones that maybe only use a gallon or 2 instead of 5 or 10 gallons to wash or flush. Turn off your shower when you're washing your hair or soaping yourself up, and turn it back on again when you go to rinse. These are great ways to help that. We can also take the time to support laws and lawmakers that encourage and enforce businesses and commerce to run clean and keep pollution to a minimum. As we're looking at how we're going to get away from this type of lifestyle and how we're going to clean the sound. Recent ongoing legislation in our state here has been put in place to clean up the major areas of pollutants using super funds and to start cleaning the sound. This all takes money and needs support of the people to make sure it continues. It's got to be important, or lawmakers won't push for it. In conclusion, let me state the Puget Sound region is one of the most beautiful in the world, if not just the jewel of the Northwest United States. Millions rely on the sound as a source of food, entertainment, and even transportation. This is an area that must be preserved for our children and their children. Thank you so much.